Can you keep the hats on the whole time? Welcome back to the Mutually Assured Destruction Podcast. My name is Josh. With me is a bunch of hats. Under which is Sharif.
I'm a tower of hats. I'm wearing so many hats right now. I wish we should go back to recording video podcasts because that was really fun, but I don't think they're as special unless we do them in person.
Yeah, and there's a bit of an issue. I'm moving to Arizona.
We could do that.
In person, and we'll fly out every week. We'll just alternate.
Doesn't have to be every week. We can figure some shit out. You say it like it's a problem. I'm moving to Arizona. I'm moving to Arizona because, now you can do shit on your own.
We'll meet in the middle. What's in the middle? Like Arkansas? Kansas?
Somehow Montana. I don't want to underestimate the span of Montana because it goes across like the entire United States.
Didn't you say when you were on the train out to the West Coast, you were in Montana for like a solid day?
We took a 52-hour train ride from Chicago to Portland, and 25 hours of it was through Montana alone.
Oh, God.
Because
did you guys go to diagonal through
Montana? And Montana turns out to be a really, really long state. So somehow Montana...
You don't just go straight through. You're going at an angle, making it even worse.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with it was. And
right,
somehow we dipped.
I'm going to stop talking right there. You stop and shut up and listen to me. So, speaking about trains, you know what that makes me think of? Boats. And boats. I'm going to explain to you how boats work because it's so simple.
I don't believe him, though.
I'll leave you alone. I
understand how boats work.
You ruin it.
I get it. I get how boats work, but I just don't believe that they work.
You don't believe physics?
They're the wrong shape. They can't.
What do you mean?
Drop a pencil in water and see which direction it floats. Doesn't work, but for some reason, you put a boat like vertically in the water. Like if you look at
it's because it's like a horseshoe shape, so the force distribution keeps it upright.
I know, I get it. The science is all there, the math is all there. I don't believe. I believe in airplanes. Airplanes make total sense to me.
Airplanes make less sense than boats.
No, airplanes are phenomenal because they just, air is like poof. But like boats?
Okay,
no.
Boats have an even force along the entire length of it, but airplanes are generating lift in the center of the plane, and like one little like miscalculation, the plane I feel like could just do a barrel roll.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just makes sense. Like, I don't know how to explain it. There's no logic behind my reasoning. I just don't. I don't understand them.
Wait, speaking about planes, though, so when I was flying back in from Arizona last night, this is cool. When we were landing, I was just staring at the engine the whole time because I had my seat right above it, and I noticed as soon as we touched down, because this bothered me at first when I found out. I think I told you about it. Was that when the planes land, they have air brakes too, but the wheels have actual just like rim brakes on it too that just clamp shut to slow it down. I feel like it's such a bad design. But in addition to that, I think it's a new thing for some of the planes. But on the engine, they open up a panel on the side and it releases the thrust. So instead of going backwards, it goes up.
Wait, hold on. A panel on the side of what?
On the side of the engine. So when we touched down, this panel flipped open. And so instead of releasing all the thrust behind the plane, it shot it upward too to increase.
I've never seen that.
Probably to increase the friction with the wheels making contact on the ground.
Was this a new airplane?
Yeah.
That's really cool. I think that's like one step away from like redirecting the flow of the engine so that it pushes backwards. So like you have the air, essentially you have like the engine's doing like a 180.
Pretty much.
So that way it's just like, that's just pretty cool.
Imagine as you're landing, you just see the engines just turn backwards.
But it goes too hard, so you guys take off in reverse.
Instead of
Can you take off in reverse?
No, the plane is not designed for that. What? Dude.
Are there any planes that are?
No. It would fall apart. Are you kidding me?
I don't believe you.
The stress distribution on the wings is designed so that it can only go one direction. If it goes backwards, it's going to fly off.
That makes sense. So it didn't make sense, and then you brought it.
What if, to slow the plane down faster, you have two other engines on the wings, that face backwards. that face backwards the entire flight and only get used when you land.
That's their entire job. That seems like that would waste millions of dollars over like a year just in the weight of them alone.
Absolutely,
because those engines are like 2,000 pounds a piece, aren't they?
More than that probably. Dude, they're massive.
Crazy heavy. This isn't even like the shocking part of the story for me. The shocking part is that you got a window seat. I can never get window seats.
No, so the way back from Arizona, our flight was half full.
I haven't experienced that since flying like post-pandemic.
On the way out to Arizona, though, it was also half full until the flight before us that was also going to Arizona got canceled.
That's crazy.
They were supposed to leave like 2 hours before us. They canceled the flight and everyone
just jammed everyone into your plane.
On our flight, yeah.
That's cute. I mean, I don't think anyone's really going to Arizona anyways, so that probably would have been the more economic move from the start.
Yeah.
But that you're not getting... How did you get this witchcraft that got you the window seat? I never get the window seat.
Because Sarah and I, we went to Arizona together, but because we booked our tickets separately, we had 2 different seats. And when we asked the gate agent, like, oh, can you just put our seats together? Because there's like 100 open seats. They're like, yeah, we'll just put you here and you here. Like, we had an entire row to ourselves, essentially. I'm like, no one's sitting with us. I'm moving to the window. The closest person to me was maybe like 3 rows away.
I never get that kind of luck. And it's, I'm a big dude, so like you think I deserve it more than anyone because I feel... Like you're taller than me, but at the same time you don't have the width of an Abuzar. You're not built with 2x scaling.
No matter where I sit on a plane, it's uncomfortable unless I'm in the exit row.
Yeah,
because then I have that extra like 3 feet of leg room.
I found that Delta does. I think it's coming back where seats are becoming more comfortable because there was like a 3 or 4 year period where my knees would be shoved into the seat in front of me, or I'd have to like lift my knees up so they weren't like touching the seat. But I feel like now things have come back around and knees can sit proportional to you once again.
For the most part, yeah. But I do remember, I think it was like 2 years ago, I saw there was this plan for some airline or like it wasn't Airbus or Boeing. It was a different one, I think.
Are you talking about the standing one?
Where you're essentially standing and like you have this.
I would love that.
You have this tiny little stool. Like it looks like more like a roller coaster, like those standing roller coasters, where you have like a bike seat that you sit on and then you like harness in.
I don't want that. I want it to be like a public bus where there are grab handles. and everyone's just standing around,
taking off. You're like your feet are off the ground. You're essentially like parallel to the ground.
Everyone's kind of Supermaning a little, like at a 45-degree angle. I think that'd make flights so much more fun. I think you should have to like pass a physical like fitness test, and then you could take ultra cheap seats where you just like stand and you hold on to a grab handle.
The seating arrangement they have now and just put in like bus style seating where it's just like all along the walls. Like,
imagine how bad turbulence would be in that, where everyone just has the grab handle and they're just going up and down.
And the best part is you're not gonna have assigned seating, so it's just first come first served. They can oversell the flight too. Like you can overcrowd a bus easily.
I just thought of a better idea. Instead of having grab handles, they should have like one of those baby bouncer harnesses. so you have a pelvic harness and it's like a baby bouncer where you're just going up and down in that. That'd be phenomenal. Why has no one ever thought of these fantastic
one really tall
ideas?
Guy that's just awkwardly standing there, like his feet are touching the ground. He's like, "Well, this isn't fun."
I think a baby
that
bouncer
person who can't get themselves in. You have to have someone pick them up and put them in it like an actual child.
Like their bouncers like twisting. Their bouncers twisting in place a little. So flight, they're just flying around in their space. That'd be great. I think there's a whole section of awkward seating that we have yet to explore. Yeah, and I think that's the future.
Let's take it one step further. Get rid of the airplane in general, just altogether. Get rid of the whole thing. And take all the bungee cords and everything you'd use for those bouncers and just make a human catapult system to get you across where you need to go.
That's not where I thought you were going. I thought you were going to suggest a convertible airplane.
Yeah. No, but,
can you imagine? Like you go on the flight with winter clothes and they pop the top on the airplane?
No, I think I do want to see be on one of those airplanes where they have the cameras on the outside and the inside is layered with like those LCD screens or OLED screens.
What do you mean?
So it looks like you're just flying.
And by what do you mean? I meant I spaced out for like 5 seconds and didn't hear anything you said. So just repeat, please.
There are planes that have cameras on the outside, and the inside of the plane in the cabin is layered with screens.
Oh.
So then when they turn it on, it looks like you're just in the sky. Like you don't see anything.
That's cool. That would be... I can't wait until planes are remotely controlled and there's just no pilot. And it's just... Imagine if it was just that, but they didn't tell like someone playing my Microsoft Plane Simulator that they were driving it. Like that's how they recruit free pilots. They just find like the most expertise, and it's like the dude wakes up and is like, "Fuck it, today I want to see what a plane crash looks like," and everyone's like, "Oh no, wrong day."
I'm just imagining in like the local news, it's like 300 died because mom would not understand that he couldn't pause his game.
He couldn't pause his game. She sent him to bed early, and he forgot. He just turned off the TV. Forgot to actually turn off the system.
So what happens if you just turn off like your computer or Xbox mid-flight? Does it just crash? Does it go straight down into a nosedive?
It just a blue light starts flashing, and it's just like reconnecting, like forever.
Just connection lost to pilot.
How much? Yeah, how much electricity do you think was wasted in the early 2000s because of games that didn't have good save spots? So you just left them running all night?
Oh, so much. Jesus. I remember I remember doing that all the time.
Yeah, and your parents would always be like, "Turn off your game."
Yeah, you just turn the TV off.
Yeah, it's like they'll never know. They're old.
Yeah, but then like you walk into the room, all you hear is a burr. Of like the GameCube still running or something.
Yeah, I remember doing that all the time with PS2's Raymond. What was the series called? Because it wasn't Raving Rabbits back then. It was just Raymond something.
Raymond.
I think the games were just called Raymond, weren't they?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The 2D side scroller with the dude with the floating limbs.
Oh, wait, I can't remember.
I think they're just called Raymond. I think that was the name.
Rayman,
what a shitty
Rayman, right?
Rayman. Why am I tacking a D on the end? It's
I don't
totally
know. I was
Rayman.
I'm like, who the hell's Raymond?
A Rayman?
I think so, right? That sounds right.
Yeah, Raymond's. I always thought that was a dumb Raymond. I don't know why. I felt compelled to tack a D on the end of that.
Okay, you tacked a D on, but you attacked the Alvins last time.
Listen. The Alvins had it coming, and I only did it because I feel superiorly confident that I can take them in any type of fight.
I will have you know right now, I have, I think, a great uncle named Alvin.
I could take him.
You could easily take him, yeah.
Dude, old as shit. Break a hip, you win. It's Dave. Welcome to the Dave special cameo. We're going to blur out what Dave says, but keep this in. It's Dave.
He wants me to go help him right now.
Dang, never mind. We'll pause and we'll be right back.
All right.
And that's where we cut.
Should we
don't pause the recording?
Keep the recording because I don't know how long it's gonna take.
Oh, what do you mean?
He said he needs me to help him move stuff outside.
Guess what? 2-part podcast. we got 10 minutes in. We'll record a second part later.
And we can keep going right now. I think I can probably get another like 5-10 minutes in real quick.
Well, there's no point if you had to go outside. We've never done this. We've never cut a podcast in half.
I'm gonna keep it running. I'm gonna keep it running. I'll do this as quick as possible.
In the meantime, I'll keep talking, and we'll see how much of this gets left in.
So, welcome back to.
I mean, I did 25 minutes on my own.
Welcome back to the.
Dude, so many blurs I have to do now. He left, so it's just me at this point. So this is really interesting because it's just 2 weeks in a row of me being a crazy person and talking to myself. And I feel like that episode went really well, but I don't think many people are going to understand it. So because many people are going to stand it, we're going to do it again. We're going to see how much talking I can do while Josh is gone. And like the audacity of him to try to bring boats back up, like I would understand just because he explained it to me. It's not like I don't understand boats. I think I made that very clear. I get what's happening with boats. I understand like the buoyancy and the fact that there's like surface tension and if you explain to me how boats work, I'd be like, that makes total sense. But I still wouldn't accept that that's how they work. I guess it's kind of like flat earthers in a sense, where like flat earthers think the earth is flat. That's not my issue. I know the earth isn't flat, but at the same time, I just want to say it. But not really, because I don't believe the earth is flat. But yeah. I don't know. I just think the audacity of him to try to do that is insane to me. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want a real look behind things, he just hit me up. It's like, hey, let's play some games. I was like, okay, I'm down to play games. I haven't played any games in forever. And then he's like, hey, we're recording a podcast, actually. So that's the preparation we had for today. Usually I'm a little more on the ball, but Josh decided to be Josh. And that's how we're running things, I guess. I don't even know if he stopped his recording, so I don't know if I'm going to clap sync. I guess I'll wait for him to get back at this point because I'm just staring at an empty room. You didn't... That wasn't it wasn't long as you said it.
No, I just had to move some pots that my dad couldn't.
Broken bad hand.
Weak. Inferior.
Oh, weak. Oh, of course. I find that hard to believe.
I'm the man of the household now.
He still has dad strength. That's impossible. I totally thought I was going to say something, but I totally forgot.
It's because you weren't going to say anything because you have never had anything good to contribute to any conversation we have ever had.
That's true, but I also have some other not important stuff to say. I thought about this the other day, and I'm like, how funny would it have been after we got out of school and I finished my internship? What if I just never talked to you again? And I was like your main assumption would have to be that I was only friends with you for the job, wouldn't it? I don't know, because what if the minute we had no reason to be, because we have no reason to be around each other right now. I mean, we're literally moving to the almost polar opposite sides of the United States. So what if the minute I finished my internship and got a job where I got a job and then stopped school, I just stopped talking to you?
Yeah, that'd be fair. I'd understand.
I thought,
but here's where you went wrong, Sharif.
Yeah.
We were hanging out long before I even mentioned the idea of an internship.
That's true. Dang.
The little did you know,
never
when you
had
first
a choice.
Met me, the hold on the campus my dad had in his hands.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Dave was running a shadow government at Dearborn. He really does. Well, we're not going to go too deep into that. I don't want to incriminate you.
He almost got my professor fired. Because he refused to give me an A that I deserve. Okay,
see,
I think I need to explain this now, if I haven't already. Have we talked about
I was going to say, that's a story I don't want to bring up because it just doesn't sound like a good story.
Well,
that seems like some pompous daddy stuff. It's my daddy got me an A, which wasn't what it is, but that's what it sounds like.
I need to explain this. So long.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I tried avoiding the first place.
So here's the story. I was taking a circuits course, and I had an A on it, and an A in the class, but I missed 2 or 3 classes because I was taking an online class, and the exams for that class were during the class period, the lecture time for this class. Come the last day of school, I look at my grade and it says I have a 0 in the course. And I email the professor. I'm like, yo, what's up? And he's like, well, per my policy, I have to fail you because you missed 3 classes. I'm like, well, I emailed you before every single class I was going to miss saying, hey, I'm going to miss this because I have an online exam that I have to take in person. And you always said, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. And now you're going to fail me? He's like, yep. So I'm like, well, screw it, nothing I can do now. So I texted my dad. I'm like, hey, just a heads up, I'm probably going to fail my first class. And 2 minutes later, he called me. He's like, what's your professor's name? What's the class? I'm like, so I told him. He hung up. And then 5 minutes later, I get an email from my professor.
I was with you when all this happened.
Yeah, I know. And
that was pretty funny just to see the speed of all this.
It was in an instant. And a few minutes later, I got an email from my professor saying, I'd like to apologize for everything that happened. Your grade is back to an A in the class. I'm like, wait, what happened? I didn't know what happened for a few weeks, I think. And then
it's just because Dave It didn't have anything to do with like Dave being in charge of the school or anything. It was the fact that Dave went to school and he was one of the few people that after he left Dearborn, he was like, I'll continue contributing with like my work and stuff and get like, giving the school opportunities.
Yeah.
Which like no one does. The minute I left Dearborn, I ignored every email from them. I have not responded to anything.
Had like the department head for the course I was taking, his number on like speed dial or something. He just messaged him. He's like, "You need to fix this shit, or I'm done." And he's like, "Oh no."
Yeah, that's also a very bullshit reason to fail a class.
Yeah, that was really stupid. He wasn't even like he wasn't a professor. He was a graduate student teaching a class.
I hate that when they flip on you immediately.
Yeah.
If you're in charge of a lab or something, you better not do that shit.
Yeah.
Because that's so annoying when a student goes to being like, they give him like the tiniest grain of power and he goes, now I'm going to be an asshole.
Yeah, no, dude, like, I fully understand the shit students go through because, we were students for like 5 years. And when it comes to me having to teach during my practicum and when I'm actually a professor, I'm not going to give a fuck.
I know someone...
Do your shit. Pay attention in class when I'm teaching, and like that's it. You'll get an A in my class. That's how I plan on structuring things. Like just give a crap.
I know someone, and you know them too, and they know who they are. I'm not going to mention their name just because I don't have to do any more blurring. Oh, okay, I don't do any more blurring. I have to. You know who this person is. We have a friend who's now a teacher. Did a total 180 on the teacher-student connect. Like, it was a thing of, like, when we went to high school, and you know who you are, and you know it's true. I know she doesn't listen to this podcast. You know what I'm talking about, Josh, right? No, she doesn't. You know she doesn't. Now. You know who it is, right?
I know who it is. I hope she listens to this one episode. I'm going to send her the link
absolutely does
to
not.
This one episode.
If she does, she knows it's fucking true. When we were in high school, we used to just talk about how like bullshit some of the stuff the teachers did. And we're like, oh yeah, check out this teacher. They're up their ass today. And now whenever I have a conversation with this person who's a teacher, they're like, oh yeah, I don't understand students, why they do all this and that. And I even brought up like an old story that we recalled. And I was like, yeah, it was kind of bullshit how this teacher did this, right? And she's like, well, you were kind of a fault for that. And I'm like, your position on that is even flopped.
To be fair,
like a teacher,
I'm sure you're a horrible high school student.
I was a horrible high school student, but the fact that her position changed up on it, that doesn't fly with me. If you're going to defend me back then, defend me now. Even though I was wrong both times, like stick with the story. I was totally a shitty student. But it was like, it was a thing of we had solidarity and now it's gone. Now she sides with the teachers.
Yeah, dude.
It's like my mom, how, she did teaching and every time I'd bring up something, it's like, you're not my son because I'm a teacher now.
What was it? So I last week I got lunch.
I wonder what
I got dinner. What are you doing? Is that canned air?
Yeah, okay.
What are you doing?
Oh, that's not going away, is it?
No, it's not. Your screen's all foggy now.
Oh no, now I have a butter filter. I'm not sure if that is going to dissipate.
Just rub it. What did you do?
I fucked up my camera. That's for
Are we
sure.
cutting this or are we leaving it in?
No, we're absolutely leaving this in. Okay, there we go.
But as I was saying, last week, before I left for Arizona, I got dinner with one of my old bio teachers from high school just to catch her up on everything because she was a big influence in why, I went to college and am going for my PhD. So I just, update her on a lot of stuff that's going on. And we started talking about our high school and we just saying like, there's some weird, stupid fucking kids that go to our high school. And she was telling me this story. There was this one kid because they went on a trip to... I think it was the Philippines. It was like a mission trip, and on the way back, because they had to take a plane, but they couldn't all sit together because there's probably like 10 or 15 of them. They all had their own assigned seats as per usual on a plane, but this kid just took a random seat, just sat down wherever he wanted, like not even near his friends or anything, just on his own. And the guy whose seat actually was walked up to him. He's like, "Hey, I think you're in the wrong seat. That's my seat." And he just looked at him. And then looked back out the window. And then he said, "Hey, kid, I think you're in the wrong seat." And he didn't listen to him. He just kept looking out the window. And he's like tapping his shoulder, like, "Hey, buddy, I think you're in the wrong seat. I'm supposed to be sitting there." And like it caused a commotion. Like the flight attendant came up, and eventually like my teacher, she started like getting fed up with it. She's like, I don't remember the kid's name. He's like, that's not your seat. Is like she took his ticket. He's like, what are you doing here? Blah. Like she had to like pull him out of the seat, I think, and like put him in where he's supposed to. I'm like, what is it with high school kids? Like they're so.
That's insane. That's insane person moves.
I know.
It might be just because I've grown up Arab, so I've had to be on like 100 every time I'm in the airport. Like I remember my dad used to get so mad because he works at the airport, so he has like he has a safety position, and he tells me he's like the airport is always bugged. There's microphones everywhere. They have microphones in the elevators. They have them in the bathrooms. They have microphones everywhere. And he's like, even when you think you're saying stuff in private in an airport, don't say stuff in private. And I was like, and me and my siblings, fucking dumb as hell. A bunch of Arabs sitting in the airport. We were like 13 or 14. They're saying me like, bomb. We're like, don't plant the bomb. my dad's sitting there like losing his mind. He's like, what are you doing? What are you saying? I'm like, relax, Dad. You don't know what you're talking about. It's like he worked in the airport. He knows all the shit. Fucking dumb as hell. I don't know what it is with kids, but we like,
you know, get, like pulled over in the gate or something, and like.
I always did, regardless if I did stupid shit or not. But I think maybe the times that I did do shit, I think those ones for sure are some of the, because every time I've ever been to the airport, I've always had some sort of extra check. Mm-hmm. Whether it's they pull me aside and they ask me questions, or they flip my backpack for no reason, or like I have to go through additional scans. I always get pulled aside, no matter what it is. And now that I look back on it, I think some of those probably were earned. Probably the ones where I did where I said stupid shit just because my dad's like, don't say stupid shit.
Yeah, like, did I tell you about that time I was coming back from Canada from a retreat, and we were on a school bus. You know, there's probably like 40 of us on this bus, and we get through the checkpoint pretty much okay. Like, everyone, like, you know, they go through our passports, they look through the bus real quick, and like, you're all good to go. As the border patrol is getting off the bus, this kid from my high school, like, he's like, whew, glad they didn't find those drugs we brought.
Oh my God.
So, of course, everyone had to get off the bus. They had to search everyone's bags. And we were like 2 hours late to get back to the high school. And the thing is, this was like a timed return too, because like, we didn't know it though, but the retreat at the very end, there's like this like secret like surprise ceremony, like when you come back it's supposed to be like super emotional and stuff, but like because we were stuck there for like 2-3 hours, like all of our parents, our friends and teachers were sitting in like at our high school, like in the gym or whatever, just like
just waiting for you guys.
And like, because I led the retreat a few months later, and like this similar thing happened where they got held up at the border for like an extra hour, and like I just walk in like every 10 minutes, like, nope, they're still there. I go back to the cafeteria for a bit, like twiddle my thumbs, check my phone, like, nope, they're still there. it was really aggravating. Remember that time you accidentally tried to cross the border with all your siblings?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I also had like a bunch of our white neighbors, so just I bet you to the border patrol that like opened the car and there were just all these different ethnicity children in there. Like they probably didn't understand what this setup was. But high school, but did you ever take the bus in high school?
Oh, not high school. For like middle school, I did, yeah.
Okay, so you kind of. Public buses are so fucking wild. We had a kid named Brian, and he was I already hate it. Total fucking jackass. This tall black kid played on the basketball team, and he had my bus route home, which was weird because he didn't live anywhere near us. So he'd get off on our bus stop, and he would go who knows where. I didn't see him. He'd walk like the total opposite direction as all the other students. But he was total jackass, sat on the back of the bus. And I remember one time, this is when I like first started realizing maybe bus drivers and like school staff aren't like real experienced people and just kind of kids who were looking for like a quick and easy job. Because he was just being a dick. He was standing up on the bus. He was like yelling at the bus driver and shit. And she pulled over onto the side of the road and she called the cops on him. And he's sitting
Oh my
on the
God.
bus, and he's like, and he started like panicking a little. He's like, "Hey, let me out!" And she's like, "No, you're waiting for the police." And I'm like, "What are the police gonna charge him when they get here?"
Standing up
But
on
she's
the
like,
bus.
standing up on the bus, but she's like, that doesn't have seatbelts, so you really can't claim it's a
No.
safety thing. But you
Also,
know,
why don't school buses have seatbelts? That's a horrible design flaw.
yeah. Well, if anything hits a school bus, I don't think it's gonna do damage.
Yeah, but
To the school, I think rollovers are the only
I was gonna
chances
say,
where shit goes bad.
I feel like, but because buses are so long and like top heavy,
yeah,
I feel like they have a higher chance of rolling over. And if they do, and you don't have a seatbelt, you're just kind of dead.
at least once a year, different bus drivers all the time, but at least once a year, our bus driver would hit something like a car, and would have to wait there for the police to arrive. So it'd always be like 3 hours late,
Oh
at
my
least once a
God.
year. Because they bus drivers literally have no extra qualifications besides they're just like you need a high school degree to be a bus driver.
No,
That's it.
I mean, you have to have the right license to do it, so they have to do some kind of like test, like driver's
I don't
test.
think you do.
No, you do. You do.
Oh, do you?
You have to have a chauffeur.
Maybe not in
license.
Westland.
You have to have a chauffeur license, at least in Michigan.
I'll say maybe not in Westland. You don't, because these bus drivers didn't know anything.
Yeah, but did you guys ever have to do like those fire drills on your bus where like you'd be a little bit late to class in the morning?
No, God no.
We did that every so often in middle school, and we'd like be pulling up to the school, and instead we'd pull in somewhere else, and we're like, oh, it's the day, and we get to be like 20 minutes late to our first class.
What?
Yeah.
What's this?
Yeah, so it's like literally like she pulls off, she like goes over the rules, and like we get to open up the back emergency door and everyone hops on.
What?
Yeah.
I never got to do that. I always thought there was such like much bigger dire consequences to opening that back door.
No, just an alarm.
Like I thought it was
like a very quiet alarm.
but it's not. It's even a localized alarm. It doesn't like contact the police or anything.
No.
Like I always thought, like if that door gets opened, like the bus, there's like some sort of protocol in place.
Mm-hmm.
If I knew it was just a silent alarm, I would have exited out that door so much more.
Dude, speaking about alarms and police, at the bike
Oh
shop,
wait, no, I didn't tell you how the story of Brian ended. He started freaking out because she called the cops, and she legit called them, and they arrived. But before they did, he's like, "Fuck this! I don't fuck with the police." He opened a window and hopped out of a bus window, which is the equivalent of hopping out of like a second-story window. And it was like they're tiny slivers of a window. They're maybe like a foot of clearance. And I remember watching him just tumble out of this window and land very ungracefully on the curb and just start running through a field. And I was like, there goes Brian. And the next day he came to the bus stop and he's like, "I'm sorry about what I did yesterday. Can I ride the bus to school?" And the bus driver was like, "No." And she took up on him. I was like, that's crazy, dude. He lost his bus privileges for like a year after that. It was insane.
Dude, but speaking about cops, though, dude, at the bike shop, so it is in the worst possible place where we put like the barcode scanner. We put it like 2 shelves below where you would naturally like place your hand to like grab something on a desk or a counter. So like you don't look down, like you just have to awkwardly like reach for it. But it's positioned right next to the silent alarm.
Oh.
And there's been a few times where we've accidentally pushed it, and then the cops show up. They're like, "What's going on in here?" We're like, "Nothing." Like,
imagine if there was a real robber and the cops just like strolled in. "What's happening, guys?" Like, is that going to be their demeanor? Like every time that
when they walk in, we're like, "Oh well, we saw from the outside everything looked pretty normal, so we just kind of assumed like it was an accident." I'm like, what if we were being held at gunpoint behind the counter?
I was gonna
you can't
say,
see that behind. You see that through the fucking storefront.
I was gonna say that seems like a real bad strategy for approaching a silent alarm. Like, you think you would call the number on like the front of the store first?
Yeah,
just to be like, "Y'all good in there?"
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's Westland. What can you expect? But it was really funny. So I'm not gonna say any specific companies or people, but we had the executives from the company whose brand that we sell come and check out our locations because we're one of their biggest dealers in the country.
Right.
And I heard they came
this
out.
Random bike shop in Michigan, by the way. You guys aren't like a big chain or anything.
No, we are.
Oh, are you?
We're the biggest bike dealer in Michigan.
But the store you work for itself isn't like a big chain, is it?
No, we have like 8 locations right now. We're opening up like 3 more in the fall.
Oh, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's bigger than I thought it was. I
Yeah.
thought this was like a little independent bike shop.
No, it used to be. It's how it started in the 70s, I think. But anyway.
In the 70s, yeah, okay.
But
so did McDonald's,
yeah.
you know?
So like they come downstairs like from where the offices and stuff are, and they start talking, and I just hear one of them say, we're okay to like go outside, right? Like this is Inkster. I heard it's not that safe. And like one of the guys that works here, he's like, no. We're in Westland. We're safer here. He didn't say we're safer. Here. We're safer.
Yeah.
Because it was very funny. That same morning, about an hour before he asked that question, a mile up the street, someone was stabbed in the intersection.
I was gonna say safer, just don't walk to the left. Just walk right. It's weird how synonymously nasty and good some parts of like the Detroit metro are, because everyone knows Detroit for being this like really ghetto city, but it has like a lot of small gems. Like when I was interning, so these business partners from China came in. So like, we were showing them a nice treatment. We set them up with like their own office because they were there for a week. We'd take them out to eat and stuff. Like they were technically a business affiliate, but they were also customers. So I was like, oh, be on your best. And Dave had me drive. He had me drive, like for half an hour to an Arabic restaurant called Chatilla in Dearborn, because apparently it has like the best kanafa in the United States. And this Chinese businessman hands me $200 and he's like, give me as much kanafa as this will get. And, which is a good plan, because if you know anything about Arabic treats, they're mostly honey and sugar and syrup, so they never go bad.
Yeah, those will last a long time.
It'll last forever.
How much did $200 buy him?
I can't, not as much as you think, but quite a but I think I came back with 9 or 10 boxes.
Jesus.
Which it was still like I was holding him down by my legs, and I have really long arms, and they were under my chin. So it was this thing of like it was a massive stack, and I'm like, damn, business dude, I guess you really loved your kanafa.
Hey, Sharif,
and he took them with him back to China.
What was that one dessert that you got us the one time that's just like the diabetes chocolate ball?
Oh, they're just like a Middle Eastern brownie ball. I don't know if they were brownie ball. It was almost like the cake was so thick, I think you can almost classify it as icing.
Yeah.
Because it was the density, though. Each one of those cake pops, they were just massive cake pops without the stick.
So
and I think each one, yes, but it was ball shaped. So it wasn't. Most cake isn't ball shaped. Well, if I say a cake pop, you automatically have this vision of a rounded
the pop
cake.
Part of it is the stick, Sharif.
No, cake pops. Josh, what you're describing is if cake pops were square, just squares on a stick. They're round.
No, if you put a square piece of cake on a stick, that is a cake pop.
Fuck you, it's not.
No, so if I put a stick in a basketball, wrong. Is that a basketball pop?
Wait, hold on. You took it to an analogy that doesn't make any sense in any regard. I don't know. I don't know where that goes or who wins if I answer.
That broke both of our arguments.
I was gonna say I don't know what answer would get me like more points on my side of that one. I'm gonna say yes. That's a basketball pop. I don't know.
So I'm right.
Really lost.
So I'm right.
Really lost me with that one. But saying a cake pop, automatically you envision a round thing on a stick.
Okay, you envision. That doesn't mean you're right.
But that's what I'm saying. When have you ever seen a square cake pop?
Like when you say sandwich, you can think of a hot dog. That doesn't mean you're right.
No, it doesn't. But that's not the standard you think of when you say sandwich. I never say sandwich and then someone envisions a hot dog. Like
I guarantee there's someone. When
you sandwich, absolutely not. They gotta be maybe someone who's in like a coma, and like when you're saying these words or synopsis is snapping random foods into their brain. That's the only situation I can imagine. When you say cake pop, you mean a round piece of cake on a stick. All I'm trying to say is that it was a cake pop without the stick. It was just round cake.
I have a more important question that needs to be answered now. Forget the cake pop debate.
Okay.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh man. See, this is like a thing. This is like a thing of like urban definitions of words versus like the real definitions of words. Like when you say sheesh, it's not, you're not saying like anything. Like that's hmm. I'm gonna say no by popular definition.
Okay, good. Thank you. A hot dog is not a sandwich.
By technicality, I'm sure you could argue it is a sandwich. But I'm going to say by popular definition and just basic social understandings of what a sandwich is, a hot dog is no more a sandwich than a taco is.
Exactly. But here's the thing, Sharif. By my definition, the way I see things, if you take the hot dog bun and it breaks in half, then it is a sandwich.
You're a fucking lunatic, you are. Absolutely not. What do you mean?
If you took 2 normal pieces of bread and put a sausage in it, that's a sandwich.
You know, okay, there's some, you're absolutely wrong, but there's some logic to what you're saying, because if you...
No, I'm absolutely right, but there's no logic to what I'm saying.
The difference between scrambled eggs and an omelet is really how you fold it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, one way you just have a patty of scrambled eggs.
Is an omelet just not one big egg scramble?
It is, but it's just folded. That's the only difference. So
it's one big egg scramble. So scrambled eggs are just mini omelets.
Yeah. Yeah,
a bunch
but
of mini omelets.
Do you break apart your egg scrambles, or do you just serve them in like one big thing?
Wait, what?
Like scrambled eggs. If I can keep it in like one big sheet of egg, I'll do that.
Yeah.
But do you ever? All right, so you don't.
That's the superior way to eat scrambled eggs.
Well, you can break it apart. You can like break it as it's cooking.
You can, but that's not as it looks nicer.
No,
when
it's
solid.
not. Yeah, you have like an egg pancake. That's nice.
You mean an omelet?
But that. So I mean, you're fucking lunatic for saying breaking the bread makes it a sandwich, but at the same time, omelets really are just determined on how they're folded, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with both of these things.
No, I'm not agreeing with your first point. That's not a sandwich if you break the bread. You're just wrong on that one. That's like saying, "Oops, my taco snapped in half. It's now a sandwich." Like,
okay, no. That's different because a taco is made out of corn tortilla. That is not bread.
Why aren't corn tortillas bread?
It's not wheat based.
How did I?
It's not wheat based.
How did I just say corn tortilla? I said it wrong, but I can't.
I wasn't paying attention to how you said it.
I'm gonna have to go and listen back to it because I know I said it wrong.
But here's the thing. Let's say you take one thick piece of bread, right? And then you cut it in half, and then you have 2 pieces of bread. And then you put stuff in between it. What's the difference between that and taking a hot dog bun and splitting it in half? You have 1 piece of bread, and then you have 2.
But why does that make it a sandwich?
Because it's 2 separate pieces of bread.
But we're not. I don't think that's what defines it as a sandwich.
I think
the amount of bread it is. I think it's just you look at a hot dog and you instinctively go no. Like I could tell it. I could ask a baby to go grab me a sandwich and have a hot dog and a sandwich on a plate, and they would grab a sandwich. Even a baby
a hot
could.
Dog is not a sandwich.
That's even if you break it in half. If I fucking broke the bread in half, the baby isn't gonna go, well, that's clearly sandwich, and bring that to me.
Okay, then what's the difference?
It's gonna go, that's a hot dog.
What's the difference between a hot dog then and a sub sandwich?
I think the hot dog. The hot dog that's in the sand.
Is it the contents that makes a sandwich, Sharif?
I think so. What if
that's
you
but
what if you just No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
You're just trying to justify your argument with a ton of false analogies, and this is one more tactic that you have.
My stance on this changes every year just because I like arguing this.
Yeah, I think you don't really believe the words you're saying, but I think you want to see where I'm taking it, and I'm defending the same point every time, which is you're just wrong. You can't look at if I chop a hot dog in half.
In a year, I'm going to switch my point, and you're going to say, no, you're wrong, and you're going to argue the same point I'm making right now.
I'm sure I would, but I'm allowed to hold a different opinion because I've seen different visions. I'd just be wrong.
So by that definition, your friend who's a teacher now is okay to criticize you.
No. Oh my god.
We're both in the wrong here, Sharif.
Why do you gotta catch me in 4K like that?
I think the amount of fallacies
I didn't like
we
that
have
being done
argued
to me
in this episode is astronomical.
I didn't like that being done to me at all. Yeah, you actually won that one. Still, I'm gonna defend my hot dog point. I know I'm wrong. I'm gonna defend it anyways. If you don't cut, your whole argument boils down to if I cut a hot dog in half, the short axis, then it's two hot dogs. It's not. It's the
It
same hot dog
is.
cut in half. I always find that fascinating about rocks, though. Is rocks, if you break a rock in half, you don't have two rock halves, you just have two
Yeah,
rocks.
like if I cut my desk in half, I don't have a desk.
No, you don't have a desk. Period. You just don't have a desk. But why isn't there a definition for like?
No, but then you do
I
it to
feel like,
starfish. You have two starfish.
but that's because they can reproduce and make two whole starfish out of that.
Yeah, but even before they do that, while you have them split in half, you're gonna instinctually think these are two starfish now.
Yeah, because you know where it ends up. But if you have like, I don't know.
Okay, but I don't know. With paper too, you rip a piece of paper in half, you have two pieces of paper now.
I don't think so. I think you just have two halves of a paper.
No, I think if you rip it in half, right down the middle, you have two separate pieces of paper.
No, but if you told your friend, hey, I left my notebook at home, give me a piece of paper, and he rips one in half, you would be like, what's wrong with you? But if someone said, give me a rock, and I smashed a big rock in half and handed them half of the rock, they'd be like, this is a rock. You've handed me a rock.
Well, does
The
the other
same
guy
apply
not
doesn't
hand
apply
his
for
friend
paper.
a piece of paper?
That's not
By
how that
what
works.
definition are we constituting the unit of paper? What does piece mean?
Josh, next time someone asks me your piece of paper, I'm just gonna chuck a notebook at their head and be like, "It's a piece of paper. It's all one thing because it's in the same big thing."
No,
That's
those
not
are
how-
all individual pieces. They're not connected.
But what I'm saying is, socially, we have a set definition of what a piece of paper is. I think if you cut the piece of paper in half, it would be
Okay,
a different story.
A sticky note. That's a smaller piece of paper.
It is, but I think it was the way it was intentionally designed.
Was it?
Yes, like a sticky note is sticky note sized, and a piece of paper is piece of paper sized.
What
so when you
defines
cut a sticky
notes
note
as
in
there's
half,
many different sizes
well,
of
when you
sticky
cut a
notes.
sticky note in half, you've just handed me half a sticky note, and I'll know that you did some shady shit to the sticky note. I won't accept it. If you gave me half a sticky note, I'll know something's up.
Okay, how about here's the real question then to figure out this half debate.
Would you give me the sticky half
What if
or
I
the
cut a
non-sticky half?
person in half?
Okay.
What then?
Yeah, you'd be a murderer. Go on. What is where you going?
Okay, no,
You'd go to jail.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Now, there's no felony conviction for cutting a rock in half, so let's get back to that. Why is it just more rocks? Why isn't it... Hold on. Now I'm contradicting myself. It is more rocks. Why is it more rocks and not just rock halves? Is it because there's no set... I think it's because there's no set standard for
like,
rock.
You have one big rock, and then breaking in half, you
Yeah.
don't have two halves. You have just two whole
rocks.
smaller rocks.
Yeah.
When you rip
You
a
know
piece
what?
of
I
paper in
think
half,
this...
you don't have one big piece of paper. You have two smaller pieces of paper.
No, you don't. You have two paper halves. You don't have two rock halves,
Does
but you have
your
two
mind
paper
only
halves.
think in fractions?
I am an engineer and I can't read, so yes.
What's the margin of error on that, Sharif? Huh?
Imagine how painful it is
What's the
listening
margin
to
of
this
error on it?
conversation. I absolute zero. There's precision in how wrong I am
Dude,
at any
especially
given
as an
time.
engineer, the one thing you need is a margin of error.
I just don't think they should exist. I think we should have absolutes.
Like no tolerances allowed when it comes to designing.
No
things.
tolerance. Could you imagine how nice the
Wait,
world would
have
be
you
if there were no
seen-
tolerances?
Have you seen those like art pieces that have like zero tolerance to it, and like when you slide two pieces together, it's perfectly flat, and you can't tell it's two different pieces?
That's phenomenal.
Are
Why
they,
isn't
are they
life
two
like that?
separate whole pieces or two separate half pieces?
Well, they're I think they're just two separate pieces because they were manufactured to be two separate pieces. And going back to my rock conversation, I think the reason that is because we don't have a standard definition on the size of a rock. It's like that meme that spread around with small boulder the size of a large boulder blocking highway.
Yep.
Like I think that's where this conversation comes handy is we don't have a set definition for what's a boulder and a rock.
Okay, what are some other things then that we don't have any sort of unitary definement Are those words? I think those are words.
It sounded smart and they fit into each other, so I'm going to say yes. So, welcome back to the Unitary Definement segment of the podcast, where we come together to define definitions
was this on the podcast when we
unitarily.
talked about it? Or were we just messaging each other when we said we should put everything in millimeters? No other units, only millimeters.
We were messaging each other. I think, and it wasn't like, yeah. So like instead of having
or
like
football fields, I want to measure everything in football fields.
No. You wanted football fields. I wanted millimeters because I think micrometers is such a bullshit unit. Just call them millimeters. Like just double down on the milli. Like if you have like, was it
so
picos next?
Because my work literally involves everything on a nanoscale. Millimeters.
No, I think that's 4 millis, isn't it?
Nano?
Yeah.
No.
Nanos to the 12th?
No, nanos to the 9th.
Or is nano
Picos
to the 9th?
12th.
Pico.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be great. It'd be like, hey, you know, this has a bullshit tolerance of 4 nanometers.
I don't work with nanoparticles. I work with milliparticles.
I work with milliparticles. Yeah. That'd be absolutely ingenious. I don't know why the world doesn't do things my way.
There's a lot of reasons world doesn't work the way you want it to, Sharif. For instance, the world works.
Yeah. Do you think you'd be better in a high social position or just not living in a society? Like, do you think you'd be better in a point of social power or just being on your own?
Like, when you say social power, as in, like, I have influence over, like, how many...
Let's say, like, governor minimum. Like, you're the governor of an entire state.
Okay, how much of my life can I still keep a secret?
You're just you. You're just who you are. You ran on like a campaign of like, this is who I am.
Yeah,
I
they
stand
voted
for murdering
me. They know
babies.
what they got themselves into. I would 100% do that.
Usually not. I mean, look at fucking Joe Biden. Everyone knew he was going to be a scumbag, but no one knew it was going to be to this degree.
We've discussed this before. If we ever ran for office, I'm not holding anything back during the campaign.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm releasing these podcasts as a press note.
Murder babies.
Murder babies. I'm releasing these podcasts as a press note. Like, I'm just... They're going to be like...
Will answer any question you guys have. Just listen to these episodes.
Yeah, they're going to be like, the president-elect will now hold a press conference. And I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, shuffle my paper and be like, www.youtube.com/XYQ74P. And I'll just walk off and people will find this and it'll be like, it all makes sense now. Rocks are 2 separate units. Yeah,
rocks are 2 separate units.
Yeah, that's my campaign statement. I just made it up now.
All right, Sharif.
So
if we were to run against
no, but you think you'd do better?
Rocks are 2 separate units versus unitary definement.
Let's say in the area we grew up, let's say we both ran for governor of Michigan. Who do you think has a better chance of winning between the two of us?
Oh,
like, yeah.
I think me.
Yeah,
I think me.
You?
Yeah.
I think I'd blow it in some scandal. I think I'd say the wrong thing. I don't think it'd be anything crazy.
I feel like you'd get bored and you just make up some scandal. Be like, "Hey, did you guys see that I did this?" When you actually didn't do it, and just like you just tell people to spread it around.
I think it'd be something dumber. I think someone would be like looking through my windows and see me like pouring milk before the cereal or something, and be like,
"Here's the thing, Sharif. You base your whole campaign on baby murder, right?"
Yeah.
And then there's a picture circulating in the news. Sharif Abu-Zir holding baby, not dead.
Not dead. He in fact kissed it, but his slogan says murder? Sounds like a contradiction to me.
Sharif, I would never need to do a smear campaign against you because you would just do it to yourself.
Yeah. I think you'd win as well just because you're more palatable. Like, I don't think anyone looks at me and envisions someone who, like, runs for office.
I thought you were going to say envision someone who runs.
I think they envision me running for office the same way that Joe Exotic did for president. I think that's the exact same thing.
Joe Exotic and Vermin Supreme are on a very different level.
I suppose so. But I think I'm
the minute you wear
same
a boot
concept
on your head and a run for office, then you're on their level.
Right, but my campaign slogan's murder babies. I think it's,
Okay, and Vermin Supreme says mandatory toothbrushing time.
That's true. That's true. I kind of agree with you though that yeah, I think I definitely would be better off on a non-societal basis.
Yeah, like the
Like if I
fact
just
that
lived
for
in
the
the
last
woods
2 years
on
you
my
talked
own.
about moving to the middle of nowhere in Alaska.
That's still unless something really gets in the way, that's still on the bucket list. I want to work in Alaska.
I
I think
can't
I
do
could
that.
do it.
I mean, actually,
Why not?
there's research centers in Alaska and Anchorage that I could work at, but
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to do that
Why not?
because there's better research facilities in Boston.
Yeah, but it'd be so much cooler working in
Yeah,
Alaska.
no, but
Could you
here,
imagine
think
just
of
being
this. Think of
like, yeah,
this.
I
You
did a
moved to
4-year
Alaska from
stint.
Boston, and then I moved to Boston.
I think that's gonna be like the yeah, I think that's gonna be a thing from now on. What do you sorry, since we've known each other, I think the longest we've spent without physically seeing each other in person probably was like a 4 or 5 month
I think it was the
stint
first
during
summer
the
we knew each
height of
other.
the pandemic.
The first
No, we definitely hung out
no,
during
the
that
first
summer.
summer we
Did
knew
we
each other.
not?
We didn't. Oh wait,
We absolutely
we
did.
got lunch on
Yeah,
the girl I was dating at the time on our 6th-month anniversary because she was MIA.
that
So
wasn't summer, was it?
that was in the summer. That was in
Oh.
yeah, that was in May.
I don't think we saw each other for 3 or 4 months before that point. Then probably no, probably 2 months.
Yeah,
But no, that wasn't the longest time then, because definitely during the height of the pandemic, there was like a 4 month period where you didn't like stop by or thing, and
Well,
then
no,
you
so
stopped
from
by and you
March.
threw a chicken in your car.
No, so that happened in early May because that's when the memory popped up on Snapchat. So that was about a month and a half from when everything shut down, I'd say.
So has there been no more than a 2 month period that we haven't seen each other in person?
I think so.
I think Boston's probably the longest because that
Yeah.
was 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think the longest period is going to be that we don't see each other between us knowing each other?
If you go to Alaska, that.
Well, what makes you think I wouldn't just fly back to Michigan from time to time?
Alaska.
Yeah. You're saying it doesn't clarify your
No,
point?
that's my point is Alaska.
Oh, fuck. I guess
But the
so.
thing is, Sharif, I'm not going to be back in Michigan for a long time once I move.
That makes
Because
sense.
I'm going to Arizona for at least probably 3 to 5 years. And then my plan is to either go to the East Coast for my postdoc or U of M.
I think if we ever lost touch with each other, we should delete each other from all social media, and then when we reconnect, see what's happened. I think that'd be really funny. That'd be a great idea.
No, we don't unadd each other. We block each other on everything.
On everything. Like, there's no way we could possibly see what the other person's up to.
Dude, that's going to suck so much because on Twitter, when I interact with like Asha or Kiwan or Sarah, I'm just going to say, you cannot view this message. You cannot view this message. You cannot view this message.
But wouldn't that be really funny if we, like, for a joke, didn't talk for like 5 years and then you come back and I'm doing some absolute crazy shit? What if it just failed entirely and we just had really mundane lives? And it's just like, oh yeah, I work a desk job. And I'm like, yeah, I work a
We
desk
see
job
each other for
too.
the first time in like 4 years. Like, what's new with you? Oh, I have a mortgage. I have 2 kids. One's in preschool. The other's just learning to walk.
It's like, so you pretty much did nothing of your life. It's like, yeah, pretty much. No, I plan on
It's like,
doing
what about you? The same thing.
This is the same thing. All right, this has been a complete failure of a 5-year project.
See you in 5 more years.
See you in 5 more years. I think I can't possibly see a future where I'm not doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
There's just too much dumb shit to do out there for me to not do it. Like, moving to Boston was a total dumb idea that I didn't even think I was gonna get it, and I was just like, yeah, why not?
I didn't think I was actually going to get in for a PhD, and I'm moving to one of the hottest places in the fucking country, and I hate it so much. But I love the heat, but I hate it. Like 90 degrees, because when I was there last week, during the day when it was at like 90, 95, felt phenomenal. It was great because it's so dry, and like a light breeze just adds to it. But the minute it got like 4 or 5 degrees hotter and it hit triple digits, I wanted to die.
It's been really cold this past week. I've had my windows open for the last 2 days, and my apartment's probably at 65 degrees right now. I'm sweating like crazy. Yeah. I just don't have I don't have tolerance for the heat. No. And I think that's exactly why I moved to Boston, because it's great out here.
What was it? You know what you should do if you ever get the chance to work remotely, if you ever get out of a lab setting, you should just live in Arizona. I want to see how you deal with it.
I hope Pandemic 2 hits so I can just do it.
Pandemic 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Pandemic 2 Electric Boogaloo. I think that'd be phenomenal. Do you think we're ever going to see a pandemic on this scale again where like everyone panics and we don't know what's happening?
When we're like 80, if we make it that long.
It's kind of a bummer. It was really cool.
Looking at history, there's usually one every century, but given the track record of the 2000s and just all of the 21st century, I'd say there's going to be two.
Yeah, like the initial panic of it all and being like, we don't know if I'm like, you don't know if you're infected, like what's happening, how it spreads. Like that was a little scary, but once you got past that like 2-week period, it was really fun and it was kind of unique.
Yeah, do you remember that one point in time we were both losing our minds and we started recording videos in our basements?
Oh yeah, those are fun videos. I almost died on a few occasions stacking tables to the ceiling. That could have gone really bad. I really could have gotten hurt doing that. Yeah. I stacked 3 folding tables on top of each other and laid flat on the top one. And there was maybe an inch of wiggle room between me and the ceiling of my basement. That was good. I should go back to making more of those.
You're just going to shove the light bulb up your ass.
That was... Even looking back, those videos make me nervous. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. I don't know, but it was really like... It was almost, I don't want to say like surreal. I don't know what the right word to use here is though, because I remember that when I would come to your house, I'd be like driving through like Ann Arbor and there's like no
throw
one.
Chickens at you.
And then I would get to your house and again, there's just no one, but it's just farm. And I'm like, I feel like this is like the setting you'd see in like a zombie apocalypse movie.
Yeah, we're on Herschel's farm.
Exactly.
I think that I especially got a unique look at the pandemic because most people's lives changed dramatically, like because no one was going outside for the first month of the pandemic, like cars were on the road, and out in the middle of nowhere, I'm like, oh, life's exactly like it was. People are still biking past my house. There's regular joggers because my street's really empty, so everyone knows I'll be safe just jogging down the street. And I was like, it was really weird. Besides not going into school, everything felt really normal. It just felt like I couldn't leave my house.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. I mean, even before that, your parents were like keeping you at home, working you like day and night. So nothing really changed.
Pretty much. The only time I really could leave was for school.
The only difference was not going to class.
It was like summer class. It was like school will let out for the summer. Yeah. That was pretty much it.
Yeah. Dude,
what do you think? You want to call it?
No, I don't want to call anything.
Why not? No. Should we just have a normal, podcast end? We can try for one.
Thanks for listening to the Mutually Assured Destruction podcast.
I don't think that counts.
It counts. I'm cueing the music. This is
all right, it's cued.
Cue the music, Sharif. Cue
it. Cue it like Jason. Are we happy at that?
No, it's so...
He didn't work.